Asalamualaikum guys, how are you all doing? In this tutorial we'll be talking about logical operators, and if you were with me in the last few tutorials, you'll remember I was mostly working with operators based on symbols. For the logical ones we look at in this video, however, these only consist of words, as you can see here in the table and comments, or and not operators. So let's first try out the AND operator with my variable name condition holding an actual condition here, which says true and false. When I print this condition out to the console, we'll get a false value here. Basically, the AND operator's function is to check if both operands on the left and right here are true or not. Since we have true and false, the result will then be false. If we instead tried true and true, printing this out then gives us a value true. With the case of applying false and false, however, we'd get the value false when printing this condition out. Alright. You can see that whenever false is involved in any AND condition, we'll always get the final result as a false. Even by extending the condition with many true values while still having one false involved, this whole condition gets returned as a false in the console. The only way to get the output true with AND conditions is if all of our operands in the condition are true values. If I were to try an example by applying 2 equals 2 as the left operand and 3 greater than 2 on the right here, we can first check if the subconditions are true, where on the left of course 2 equals 2 is true, and the other one here, 3 is greater than 2, is also true. Therefore, by printing the whole condition, we'll get the value true displayed here. Sweet. Now, the next operator is known as OR. For this one, it just checks if at least one of your operands in a condition are true, then it will return a true value. So trying true or false, you'll see that we get true as a result after printing this condition. If I, however, used false or false, then we get the value false as an output. So you can see that in the OR operator's case, if all your operands are false, your final value will also be false. If all of them are instead true, then your final result will be true. This is the exact same case for using the AND operator, with the main difference that as long as the OR condition consists of at least one true value, the final result will then be true. But in contrast to the AND conditions, if at least one of your values are false, then your condition's result will be false as well. Alright. So this difference between the two operators is a good thing to keep in mind. And let's go on ahead with an OR condition example with numbers. Say if I applied 3 is less than 0 on the left here, and 3 is greater than 0 on the right. This condition then says 3 is less than 0 and 3 is greater than 0. And we know from the subconditions that 3 is less than 0 here, of course, and 3 greater than 0 is true. So since at least one of the operands here is true, our final result hence will be true. Awesome. So no matter how many false values are involved in the OR condition, as long as one of them is true, the final answer we'll get is a true as well. Nice. Now on to the last logical operator, known as NOT. This one simply converts any condition's result to its opposite, where say by using the same AND condition, if I just placed the NOT operator before false here, this would then convert false to true. And Python would read this condition then as true and true. Then by printing this out, we'll get the value true in the console. Cool. And if I go back to the OR condition example, where we know that we got a true value since at least one of the subconditions were true, 3 greater than 0. So if I now place the NOT operator right before this true condition, then Python will read the following as 3 is less than 0 or 3 is not greater than 0, which is basically false or false, hence giving us the result of false here in the console. Sweet. We could also wrap the NOT operator on the whole condition, where in this example we'd normally get true without including NOT here, but by applying parentheses on the whole condition, and just placing NOT at the beginning here before the parentheses, this would then forcefully reverse the whole condition's output, which would have been true, but when we print this out, we'll get a false here. Alright. Also trying out in the AND case where we used the first example true and false, when I place NOT just before applying parentheses on the whole AND condition and print this out, we'll get the answer as true, which is really the reverse of the original answer false. Awesome. So we've gone through some basics for logical operators here. I'd like to mention an important thing about Boolean values. If you were with me in the last tutorial, you'll remember that I showed how Booleans can also be identified by numbers, where true would be considered as a 1 and false would be a 0. So if I try using the same condition here, but just replacing the true here with 1 and false with 0, printing this out will give us the value 0 in the end. Which makes a lot of sense given that 0 here just means false, and by translating the numbers to booleans, you'll see that it just says true and false, which gives us the value false. Awesome. Okay, so that's really it about logical operators. It's important to keep in mind the underlying function of each operator, and I'll just put out a recap table here for you, which you can revise or recall from regarding these operators. The link for this image will be included in the description below. Cool. So if you're up for a challenge, let's try working on some logical operator problems. I already have some problems cooked up here for you guys. Just fetching them from the blank file to my .py file here. Cool. Now by remembering from what we've learned so far from this tutorial, and hopefully you guys remember your arithmetic operators, you can then try solving these problems here, and I'll give you a few seconds to do that. Good luck then, guys. Alright, so hopefully you guys found the answers. I'll start with the first one. Here we have 3 equals to 3 and 0 not equals to 1, which I guess you may have found quite easy and guessed that the condition just says true and true. By printing this problem out, we'll get the answer true in the console. Awesome. The next one's 5 is less than or equal to 6, or 4 is greater than or equal to 5. And we can see that the criteria for 5 being less than 6 is met with the operator for less than or equals to, so that's true. But for the right side, 4 greater than or equals to 5 comes out as false. And by reading this as true or false, we'll get the value true in the end after printing this out. Cool. Now for the third problem, 10 modulus 5 and 3 modulus 2. So here, if you remember from the modulus operator, where it returns the remainder for your division problem, as you can see that with 10 mod 5, this will just give us the remainder for 10 divided by 5, which is 0. And on the right side, 3 mod 2 would just be 3 divided by 2, giving us the remainder of 1. So now we can read the condition as 0 and 1, and therefore the answer we'll get will be 0. Awesome. Now for the last problem here, with not operator and the whole condition true and false within parentheses, we know that normally the condition true and false here would just give us an output false, but since the not operator wraps around the whole condition with the brackets, we'll instead get the opposite answer, which is false, here in the console. Sweet. So we've deciphered all the problems now, and hopefully you guys found the right answers. If some problems seemed confusing, no issues there. You can always look back at the video or the reference image I mentioned, or maybe also looking back at arithmetic operators, since I used the modulus operator here. So my video on numbers and operators is something you can always check out regarding arithmetic cases, which I go over in detail. And that's all for this tutorial. So we've discussed in detail regarding logical operators, and all these operators that I've covered so far are really just the building blocks for an important programming concept known as control flow. And control flow in summary means applying order to the number of operations that will be executed in your programs. We'll be exercising control flow in the next video, with if-else statements being the focus for the episode. Alright, I hope this video was helpful for you. If you enjoyed it, give it a like or a subscribe, and stay tuned for episode 6. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and Asalamualaikum.